This is a PowerWorks podcast short with Glenn Power and me, James Pikeway.
Had a foot, so that's the W12 twin turbo.
Okay.
Proper one. The VW engine.
Yeah.
Just got a couple of mad turbos bolted to the side of it, but every single job on that car pretty much is engine out.
Okay.
Except for spark plugs.
Nice.
Pretty much everything else and air filters. So, gets the engine rebuilt, goes for repaint. It's been painted a shade of purple that Porsche use. I forget the name of it.
Porsche purple.
Porsche purple, let's call it that. And it's had a full interior redone. On the way back from the body shop, having had the paint to us, and I can't remember why it was coming here originally because it's so freaking long ago.
Yeah.
It was coming here for something. Oh, windows, I think. That's right. Windows and doors. The doors and windows weren't working. So it came in. It was coming on the way here for that. On the way, the owner of the car was driving behind the painter who'd painted the car.
Oh, no.
Said it was smoking.
Okay.
The engine was smoking out of the exhaust. So we got it in. Oh, but I've just had the engine rebuilt. Can't with the engine. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's cool. It sounds and runs really smooth. It's a bit of smoke in it.
Yeah.
Worried about it being the turbos, and I'm worried about, some other things, oil separator from the PCV valve, all this sort of stuff, but we'll have to check it out. Anyway, we've had so many things back and forth, and then the customer bought some software to recode the control units to remove the air suspension because he put standard suspension on it, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, get it, yeah.
All these back and forths anyway. Smoking, and I mean smoking really bad. So, all right, we'll figure it out. So, the first thing we did was we wanted to see that maybe they'd not put the piston rings in right.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe they'd not bored it properly or honed it properly, and there was a lot of tolerance in the.
I like that word, by the way, honing. When you're honing, that's a good word.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I was talking about words I like this morning.
Yeah.
I like words that end in ASM, like sarcasm and chasm and spasm. Spasm's a particular favourite of mine.
All right.
Yeah. Also NGEs, flange.
Oh, nice.
Blancmange.
Yeah. We're going to get you on TikTok in a
Yeah.
minute. All right.
But, so we're doing the cylinder leakage test, and it's not leaking past the rings. So basically on the cylinder leakage test, you turn the engine by hand so that the cylinder that you're
they're going up very slowly.
Yeah, so you take the spark plug out and you put a tool in there which allows you to fill it with pressurized air.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So you close the cylinder to top dead center, which means it's at the top, all the valves are closed, and if it was running, that's the point when the fuel would ignite.
Okay.
The spark would go and the fuel would ignite. So it's full compression, basically. Nice. So we fill it then with pressure, and there's two gauges. One has the pressure going in, and one tells you how much is coming back out.
Kind of like an air conditioning tester.
Yeah, basically like manifold gauges, yeah. So we put 50 bar in, and we want to see that
50 bar, that's
good. We want to see that we're holding 50 bar.
Yeah.
And we can check it. Now, that's fine. It could be 2 bar. We want to see that we're holding. The bigger the number, the better. And we usually go up to about 100 PSI, actually.
Wow.
So it's not mad numbers, but it's considerable.
Still...
So we go and see, and there's very little difference. Obviously, there's error on the gauges.
Yeah.
The hoses expand a little, so there's always a little bit less, and some will escape. But in the case of it being low, and it's not retaining the pressure, you can then listen out of the exhaust pipe. And if it's leaking out the exhaust, it's the exhaust valve that's not holding compression. If it's leaking out of the intake, it's the intake valve.
You're Sherlock's homing the thing.
So you're doing exactly. No problem. All good. All 12 cylinders. Great. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Next step. It could be the valve seals. Right. Okay. So let's think about this. We'll cold start it. And what we did was we took the intake manifold off to make sure that we checked the last basic thing, which was the PCV valve. Now, PCV is positive crankcase ventilation. So what that means is when the oil is in the engine and being smashed and sloshed around by the crankshaft and the oil pump, it vaporizes a little to a certain extent.
I'm going to just pause you for a second because I just want to remind people one of the core things that we like to do in this podcast is help you to understand the jargon and terminology and how your engine works.
Yeah.
So that when you go to a garage and they say, oh, you got a problem with your PVC valve, PCV, as opposed to PVC piping.
Not PVC windows and doors.
Yeah. So that you see, because you mess things up, so you understand what they're talking about. And if you're service manager, mechanic cannot explain to you how this stuff works,
Walk away.
run.
We should get stickers.
Yeah.
I listen to Powerworks podcast. Don't take the mic.
Okay.
In the back of people's cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically the vaporized oil creates a pressure in the engine. Now in the old days that would just be vented. That's why old cars stink.
Ah, okay.
They just stink of oil fumes, right?
Yeah.
They'd just be
All my grandfather's vehicles. He had, 1975 Ford EcoVan, 1965 Parisienne, and they all smelled.
Yeah, just the oil vapor that's coming out. There's air and oil, and it's all messed up.
But I love that smell of the oil in the backyard. You walk into his backyard, and it was always that dirt and oil.
Yeah,
it's like Grandpa's place.
Yeah, that's it. And that's not been the case now for easily 20 years, probably actually longer than that we've been recirculating. Now, what happens to that is it's vented into the intake of the engine so that the engine can then burn those vapors.
All right.
But to stop it burning oil and to stop the engine using oil, both things are not desirable. There's a swirl chamber which forces the vaporize.
Where's the swirl chamber with the valve?
So you have the PCV valve which vents it.
Yeah.
And then there's an oil separator, swirl chamber, where it's basically, what's this guy want? Andrew, doesn't give me. No, I've got a podcast. So disco lights to
got
go
the
with
lights
the smoke.
going. I love this place. we got stuff happening on your phone. We got the lights going on and off. We got the rumble of a Bentley.
So the oil is centrifugally thrown out. So it spins through a swirl, and that spinning motion throws the oil out, which can then drip back down into the bottom of the engine.
Okay, cool.
We're talking milliliters every few minutes. It's not a massive amount, but it's significant if you're burning it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what happens is two things. The valves can stick open because they get crud from the carbon in the oil. And also, this oil separators is there's a diaphragm in it, a rubber diaphragm which can break. So then the oil it doesn't have to follow its desired path, and it can just blow straight through into the intake, and then again you're burning the oil. Now, I've seen this 5 times this week, PCV valves and oil separators that fail.
5 times?
Easily. Every single day. Every day.
In your one garage,
and
you think of all of the agencies, and then you think of all of... So this is a common thing.
Yeah. Every single car that has this sort of more modern PCV and separator setup, it's down to the fact that manufacturers keep their cost of ownership down by putting a too long service window.
Yeah.
And it's worse on turbocharged engines.
So great with the turbo, you get a smaller engine, you get that nice boost, and boom, but you got other things you got to think about.
The oil degrades a lot quicker. Yeah. That turbo's spinning 100,000 RPM, and the oil's getting so hot. I mean, the turbo is literally the exhaust. Right. It's 1,000 degrees. The oil is degrading fast.
If you're not changing your oil every at minimum 5,000 kilometers,
5 to 10 on a turbocharged engine.
5,000. I wouldn't. Not 5 to 10. It's not 6:30 to 7. Get here. It's 5,000 kilometers. Just go get it changed.
Over maintenance in that case is not a problem.
I would absolutely be doing it. With what you're just saying right now, man. You know what? Yeah, 5,000 kilometers.
Well, we've ended up again to cut to the chase. This Bentley, the intake manifold was. I mean, the oil was running out.
Oh no,
running out of it, because obviously the plenum of the intake manifold had just caught all this oil.
That's another nice word.
Liquid oil. Yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah. So we tip the manifold up, and I send a video of the customer, and it's there. You go.
There you go. This is it.
Simple fix, except it's a Bentley and it's an older one, and it's not the most common thing. And they're expensive because it's a Bentley, so they don't keep them on the shelf. So it's 15 days order. So it's like another 2 weeks. This car's going to be sat lying around. So anyway, the customer took the front panel off because we had to take the whole front end of the car has to come off. We can do it without the engine out.
What year of Bentley? What model of Bentley?
This is a 2005 GT.
Okay, it's new. 2005. In my book, that's a new. I mean, I drove 2008, and I think that's new. So anyway, okay.
The parts, 15 days. So it's a big job, but it's not 15 days worth.
Yeah.
So we took the front end off, and we didn't have to drop the engine out. In this, it's one of the very few engine repairs you can do without doing that.
Imagine.
And while it was out, the customer got the front panel fascia redone in carbon fibre.
Okay, nice.
So
why not?
That was something he wanted to do, and well, it's coming off anyway, so I'll do it now. And the valves went in, but because of how the intake was full of oil, and then obviously all of that oil, as we've lifted the intake off, has run into the cylinders, and
Lovely.
the exhaust, because it's been burning, is full of oil.
Lovely.
When we started that thing up yesterday, just blue smoke.
That's why there's black smoke around all of your exhaust fans here.
It's everywhere.
It's black.
It's everywhere. So it's not bad now. We got it hot, and the exhaust has burnt most of it out. And there's no. You can buy equipment that will quote unquote clean an exhaust. I'd never use one. I would never ever do that. I think you're going to do more damage to your exhaust than good. But the real only way to do it is to get it hot and let it burn it off. And then it'll stop smoking. And we've got to that point now, and it's running, and like it always has been running okay. But it's no more a smoke machine.
Okay.